Have you implemented marketing automation and don't know how to connect your sales team and coordinate it efficiently? Tools like ActiveCampaign help you do so with pipelines, deals, and tasks. Ciao and welcome to my new video. If you don't know me already, I'm a business automation consultant and I help busy managers and entrepreneurs automate their processes so they can save time and reduce the overwhelm of the team. In this video, I'm gonna show you 9 steps to implement sales automation in your business. This is a really wide topic and that's why I tried to summarize the most important things and create a sort of checklist that can help you to make sure that you implement sales automation the best way possible. During my auditing sessions, I often see a situation in which sales reps are basically in a spreadsheet nightmare. They do not have a single source of truth, and that's why they always have to switch between many tools in order to find all the information about a specific contact. The team is overwhelmed and can't focus on the most valuable activities such as talking to prospects and customers. Moreover, there is a serious lack of visibility in the pipeline, so the manager or the entrepreneur can't really see how things are proceeding, how deals are proceeding. This causes a lot of inefficiencies in terms of waste of time and less revenues. The team is always overwhelmed because team members have always to do repetitive tasks, repetitive activities that are low level and can't focus on high level activities such as talking to prospects and customers. So if you solve this issue in your business, you can save time and increase the revenues. Let's get started. Now I'm going to list out the 9 steps and then I'll explain them. The first thing that you have to do is to map out your sales process. Of course, you need to make sure that your sales process is currently working, that is basically converting leads into customers. I created a video about that. It sounds obvious, but you can't automate something that is not currently working. Automation helps you to scale something that is currently working. The second step is to define your pipeline stages. Basically, all the phases that your lead has to go through from being a lead to being a customer. And this leads to the next step, that is defining the criteria for moving the deal to the next stage. By the way, if you want to really deepen these 3 steps, I suggest that you take a look at the HubSpot Academy because it has great content to understand how to streamline sales processes. The third thing to do is to define a scoring system, and that really helps you to save time on monitoring your audience and prioritizing leads. The 5th step is making the sales and marketing sides talk to each other. And here, I'm not talking about the sales and marketing alignment from a strategic point of view. Here, I'm talking about specifically the technical part in ActiveCampaign that I am going to show you later in this video. After that, you need to define the lead assignment criteria and set up your integrations. They are really helpful because allow you to enhance the capabilities of your ActiveCampaign account or of the software that you are currently using. After all of this, you need to train your team on the solution that you have implemented. And last but not least, you need to go through a testing and refining phase. This is not a static thing and you need to receive feedback from the end users, from your team members, and then keep improving the solution. That allows you to have a tech infrastructure that really helps you to streamline your processes, make them more efficient, and make your business thrive. Let's dive into it. The first step is mapping out your sales process. And as I previously mentioned, you need to make sure that your process is currently working, that you are converting leads into customers. Why? Because technology and in general automation, no-code tools, help you to scale something that is already working. So the first step is that you need to think of a typical sales cycle and list out every action that the lead and your sales team have to take. To do this, I suggest that you interview your sales team so you are able to list out every single action that happens in a typical sales cycle, and then you need to label those actions with their owner, so the lead or your sales team. The next thing to do is to define your pipeline stages. You basically need to cluster the actions that you previously listed into stages. Simply put, you need to find those patterns that allow you to clearly define those phases that your lead has to go through. How can you do so? You need to go through the list that you just created and verify if each action respects the following criteria. The action has to be required, fact-based, and data-based. Required because you want the action to happen in every sale. Even if your team could skip it, you want it to happen. Fact-based because the action needs to be based on a real fact, not on feelings. An example is the lead attends the demo versus enjoys it. Of course, you want to build your pipeline based on facts, not feelings. The third criteria is data-based. If you can't record the action in your database, in your CRM, it doesn't count. You need to cross the actions of the list when they do not meet those criteria. Why? Because you need to standardize your process in order to create an efficient pipeline in ActiveCampaign or in your software. There are other ways to personalize the process. Now you can create your pipeline and the stages, so your team can manage the leads through the process. With the task feature, you can also automate the to-do list. For example, if your team needs a specific to-do list in a specific stage of your pipeline, you can set reminders and so on, so your team can manage the daily work. The first step is defining the criteria for moving the deal to the next stage. Of course, your team needs to know when a deal is ready to be moved to the next stage, and that's why the following questions can help you understand how to set up those criteria. Is there any piece of information that your team has to collect from the lead? Is there anything that indicates that the sales rep has completed the role in a specific phase of the buying process? These questions can help you to define criteria for moving the deals to the next stage. As I previously mentioned in this video, if you want to deepen these 3 steps, I recommend that you take a look at the HubSpot Academy, because it has great content to understand how to streamline your sales process. Alright, now I'm gonna show you a brief tutorial on how to create pipelines, deals, and tasks in ActiveCampaign. This is a pipeline that I already have in my Sandbox account. If you wanted to create a new one, you need to click here and then add a pipeline, test. These settings, I am going to explain these settings later in this video. Let's click on add, and here you have the default stages. If you want to create a new stage, you have to create on add a stage, test, and here you have it. These setting icons let you set up the settings for each one of these stages, and that is really useful if you want to entirely customize your process, your stages. For example, if you click on edit this stage, you can basically set up the card appearance here in this specific stage. You can also choose how deals are sorted and the colors and so on. To create a deal, you have different ways. You can click on add a deal, you can name it, and then contact. Okay, add a deal. So you can also import deals from a spreadsheet. And the other way for creating a deal is inside an ActiveCampaign automation. And this is something that I'm going to show you in a moment. How do you create a task? The first way is the following. You click on the deal, and then here you have this box, you need to click on Add a Task. You can name it. You can create several task type, so then you can also run a report on them. You can assign the task to a specific person of your team and set up due date, etc. Save task, and here you have the task that you just created. You need to click here to complete the task, and it disappears. Then if you wanted to see the tasks that are completed, you need to click here. The other way to create a task is in an ActiveCampaign automation. I prepared this automation to show you what we can do inside it. This is the example of creating a task. As you can see, task title, task description, the task type, etc. And then you can click on Save. By the way, I'm not explaining every single setting that you can set up because I will create specific tutorials about it. And in this video, I just wanted to show you the overall process of implementing sales automation in your business. As I previously mentioned, another thing that you can do is creating a deal. Here you have the deal title, the value, the stage, the pipeline, and the owner. Another thing that I wanted to show you is the triggers. Here, as an example, I chose this trigger, contacts deal stage changes in a pipeline. You can use this trigger when you need something happening after you drag a deal to a specific stage. You can select a specific pipeline and go really specific when it comes to the changes of the deal stage. So here, for example, you can set up from any stage to a specific stage, sales call, and runs once. That means that once per contact, when you drag a deal from any stage to the sales call stage in the pipeline number 1, this automation will be triggered. As you can see, all these settings are really helpful when it comes to automate little tasks, repetitive tasks that your team usually has to do manually.
The first step is defining a scoring system. A scoring system is a method that you can use to automatically assign points to your contacts and deals based on a set of rules and conditions. I created a video about that. It's a tutorial that explains to you what a scoring system is and how you can set it up in ActiveCampaign. So in this video, I just summarize it. With this feature, you can automatically assign points based on the actions or inactions that your contacts are taking. This way, you can automate the monitoring of your audience. For example, you can assign points whenever a contact opens an email or clicks on a link or visits a specific web page of your website. You can also weight the different sources because a contact us form submitted is different than a webinar sign up and so on. And after all of this, you can set up an automation that automatically creates a deal and notifies your team when the contact reaches a specific threshold. In the tutorial that I mentioned before, I also explain the process of how to strategically define a scoring system. So go watch that video if you wanted to deepen this topic. The next thing to do is to make the sales and marketing talk to each other. As I previously mentioned in the video, here I am not talking about the strategic alignment between sales and marketing, but I'm talking about the technical implementation that allows you to put into communication these two sides. To explain it better, I'll give you a practical example. Let's say that you have set up many automations for the marketing side. So for the newsletter, the marketing funnels, the nurturing sequences, etc. And then at one point, your lead schedules a demo and therefore enters the pipeline. In this case, you want this lead to exit all the marketing automations, all the funnels, etc. in order to start the sales automations. How can you do so? How can you make the sales and marketing sides talk to each other? A great method to do so in ActiveCampaign is by combining goals and conversions. You can set up a conversion after the lead visits the thank you page when the demo is scheduled. And then you can use this conversion in the goals conditions. This way, when the contact triggers a specific conversion, it also meets the goals criteria and therefore exits the automation. This setup is useful also because you can then run marketing reports for those conversions, and therefore you can understand what have been the touch points. If you would like a video that deepens this specific topic, feel free to comment below.
Alright, so for what concerns conversions, you find them here, settings, and then conversions. To create a new one, you need to click here, add a new conversion, you name it. So for example, demo scheduled. And here you can use a URL to trigger this specific conversion. Let's say thankyouPage.com. Here you can select if you wanted to apply this conversion to any contact that previously who triggered this conversion before it was created. And you can also limit the conversion. And then you click on create. Here you have it. And then I'm gonna use the same automation that I previously used to create a goal. You click here and then goal. Okay, goal name, demo, scheduled. And then the condition is conversions, demo scheduled. And in our example, we needed to choose when this goal is anywhere. So every time that a contact triggers this specific conversion, it doesn't matter where the contact is inside this specific automation, the goal will be triggered. Okay, if the contact does not meet the goals conditions, continue anyway, save. So since the end of this automation step is after the goal, as soon as the contact triggers the conversion, meets also the goals condition and exit the automation. As I already said, conversions are really important also for reports, for marketing reports. Let's say that you created several conversions and now you want to have a report of the main touch points that led to those specific conversions. You find the reports here, reports, and then conversion attribution. Here you can select the conversion that you want the report for, the measure, etc. And here you have a report of the touch points, the source distribution, the source medium, etc. This is a sandbox account, so I can't show you a proper report. But if you go to this ActiveCampaign page, you can find a really deep explication of what kind of reports you can create with conversions. So this is more on the marketing side, and this kind of report help you to understand what have been the touch points that led to those conversions, so you can make informed decisions.
The sixth step is defining lead assignment criteria. If you have several sales reps, you probably want to follow a strategy to distribute the leads to your sales reps, so you can assign every lead to the right sales rep. To do so, you have different ways, inside ActiveCampaign and outside of ActiveCampaign. In ActiveCampaign, you can of course assign the deals manually. You also have the round-robin method that evenly distributes the leads to your team members. Then you have the round-robin deal value that uses a combination of the method that I previously mentioned and the deal value, so that the entire monetary value of your deals is equally distributed to your team members. The next method is assigning the leads to your sales team based on criteria such as the geography, the language, or the interest in a specific product or service. To do so, you can create a conditional logic inside an ActiveCampaign automation. However, if you want to create a really advanced one, I suggest that you use tools such as Zapier. For some of my clients, I integrated Zapier because it allows you to implement complex workflows that involve different tools.
To use the round robin method and the round robin deal value method, you need to click on the settings icon on options, and here assignment method. You can select between manually assign or round robin deal value. And this means that once you set this up, every time that a deal is created in this specific pipeline, ActiveCampaign will use this method to assign the deal. For what concerns the conditional logic, you can set up a basic one here in an ActiveCampaign automation. Let's say that the trigger is when the lead scoring is above 100, when the contact meets this criteria, we trigger this automation. And then we have this if and else path, and the conditions are the following. This is a custom feed that I created as a test. Artist is artist A. Of course, here you can create, you can set up a more advanced condition. So once you set this up, you click on save, and then you have the yes and the no path. So let's say that this specific contact meets this criteria. So we go to the yes path, and here we add the deal, and we can assign it to a specific owner. If we go to the, if we follow the no path, here we can create another if and else path. And then we can create several steps to create deals, and we can assign every time a different deal owner. As you can see, this can get really complicated really easily. So that's why sometimes I use Zapier in certain cases to create an advanced conditional logic. I'm using this trigger inside this app just as an example, and also because I wanted to show you the following thing. In a Zap, we can create a path logic. We can have, I think, a maximum of 5 paths inside each Zap. So if I click here, path A, we can name it, and then we can set up the rules. And here, as you can see, we can use the info that the Zap gathered at the beginning of the flow. For example, show all options. Let's say service. This is a field that a custom field that I created. Contains, I don't know, ads. Okay, here we can basically create a really complex set of conditions. We can also use and, or, etc. And then if the contact meets this criteria, here we can create a deal and assign it to a specific person. In certain cases, this method is more efficient than the one that I previously showed you. In the ActiveCampaign automation, you have 5 different paths for each one of your Zaps. And you can also connect other apps that you have. For example, if you click on the plus button here, you can select, I don't know, like ClickSend, Google Calendar. You can integrate hundreds of other tools and build really complex workflows.
And this leads to the following step, that is setting up your integrations. They are third-party tools that you can integrate to ActiveCampaign and that can help you to enhance the features that you currently have. I recommend to do so when you want to efficiently manage specific stages of your pipeline. A practical example is when your sales team has to manage a back and forth of documentation with your prospects. In this case, I suggest that you integrate a proposal management tool because it really helps you to keep organized your proposals and have a tidy pipeline. You can use the third-party tool to manage the proposals, to send it to your prospects so they can sign it, etc. And then by connecting it to ActiveCampaign, you can keep the main pipeline updated. Other things that you can integrate are forms, call scheduling systems, accounting softwares, and many others. After all of this, you need to train your team and build a knowledge base. With knowledge base, I mean flowcharts that visually explain how to use the system, how to use the solution, and then technical maps that explains how the system works from a technical point of view. So it's useful for troubleshooting and for updating in the future your automations. This is useful because your team can always refer to the knowledge base when needed, when they have doubts, when they do not remember how to do something. And I recommend you to not underestimate the value of doing so. It helps scalability and reduces the learning curve since it's easier to onboard the new team members. And it helps you reduce mistakes because your team can always refer to it when needed. The ninth step is testing and refining. After you have finalized the implementation, you need to schedule a period in which you monitor the system and you receive feedback from your team. This is not a static thing. The tech infrastructure grows as your business grows, and there is always room for improvement and optimization. If you want to learn more about my method, my process that I follow to help my clients achieve results faster, I will put a link below this video to download my business automation guide. If you feel like you are ready to make the most out of your tech stack, submit the application form that I will put below this video. In that form, you'll be able to choose if you are interested in my coaching program or in my implementation service. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next ones. Ciao!